Cheers.
Cheers. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Elk Lodge podcast. Today on the show, we have Ryan Lynn, a dear friend of mine from college at Full Sail University, and he now lives in Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk. We now know how to say Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah, we learned. It's not Norfolk. It's Norfolk.
Don't act a fool.
And he co-owns and manages the Dirty Buffalo restaurant, and they have award-winning sauces and rubs. So if you're ever in the Norfolk, Virginia area, be sure to check them out. And this episode is a lot of fun. Good catch up with Ryan. It's been years since I saw him. It was a lot of fun. And also, as always, this show is brought to you by Hexa Coffee, which Christine will tell you all about.
Hexa Coffee, our favorite coffee roasters based in Chicago. We know you don't all live there, so if you want, you can check out online. If you visit hexacoffee.com, use our promo code ELK for 10% off. They host events on site at their location in Roscoe Village, so if you are in Chicago, definitely take advantage of that. They're a really great local business to support. We love them.
And without further ado, Ryan Lynn.
Okay.
Wow, that was a good one.
That was good.
Great. We rarely get it on the first try.
Mic check, 1, 2.
There he is. Hey there, Ryan.
There we go.
How's
What
it
up?
going? I'm Christine.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for popping on.
Wait, there's a problem with my microphone. Hold on. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
What have you been up to all day?
Work, man. Just working. Getting some things put together for the restaurant, and took a little time and went and had some dinner. Had a couple drinks before this so that I was wet and loose, you know.
There you go.
Check. Hey, all right.
I like that. You'll be ready to spill your secrets. That's good.
Hopefully not too many.
Oh, what? We got you a little buzzed?
He said he had a
little bit.
Good.
He's got his liquid lubrication.
Perfect.
Two cocktails and one shot.
That's pretty good.
So wait a
bad,
second.
you know?
You own this restaurant, right? This is your restaurant.
I am a co-owner of the restaurant. Yeah.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
this is in Virginia?
Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah.
Norfolk.
Norfolk.
All right.
You been to Norfolk?
Can't say that I
was
have.
there one time. It's a cool city. Are you from there?
No, I'm actually from New York.
Okay.
Yeah. Western New York, Rochester, Buffalo area.
Got you.
Okay.
And how long have you had the restaurant?
Well, I didn't become an owner until about July of last year. But I've been working for this company. It was owned by my best friend and his wife for the last decade. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary last month.
Congrats.
That's fun.
And what were you doing
man.
before you were an owner? Like, how'd you kind of get your way up to the top there?
So it's wild, dude. So he asked me to move down here after I'd finished my master's program in I was living in Brooklyn at the time, after Full Sail. And he it's so funny to look back, man, and he's like, it's so busy. We were doing like $1,000 a day in sales. It was not busy at all.
But he was just overwhelmed.
He was overwhelmed, and he's like, I need some help. I need somebody that I can trust to come down here and run this with me. And this is my childhood best friend. It's a guy that I grew up with. We met in preschool and graduated together.
Wow.
So, he asked me to come down here and help him run it. And here we are 10 years later.
Wow, man. Sick. And
Yeah,
so
man.
it's, I assume it's like ribs and chicken and stuff like that, because you sell this, you sent us some Dirty Buffalo, Cajun Buffalo sauce, as well as your sweet sriracha.
Yeah, man.
We were also getting ready for this moment with, we made sure to eat this on our breakfast this morning. We're
Yeah,
like,
we
all right,
used the sriracha a few days ago, or like a week ago, in a peanut sauce that we made
That was killer.
for like a Thai peanut sauce. And then today we just
Dope.
tried that for the first time on it was like a frittata or like a quiche.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might do a little like roasted cauliflower in this one, kind of like in the barbecue sauce, the Cajun buffalo.
But yeah, what's
dig it.
the restaurant like?
So, because we're from Western New York, we specialize in wings. Wings is our thing, man. Literally growing up, every Friday we had pizza and wings. Growing up, so that was the family thing. I worked at a pizza and wing shop when I was 15 years old. That is the extent of my restaurant experience before
That's
this.
yeah. Grew up, ate a lot of wings. Went to a restaurant.
Yeah,
Been there.
that was
ate
it. But yeah, we focus on a lot of Western New York style food. So if you haven't been from Western New York, or if you're not from Western New York, let me rephrase that. Wings is huge. The buffalo wing is called the buffalo wing because it was created is essentially in Buffalo. The process of cooking it and then tossing it in the hot sauce, the cayenne based hot sauce. And then there's also a thing called the garbage plate, which is from Rochester, New York. And we do a spin on that. We call it a dirty plate. These are all things that, if I circle back to when I was 18 years old and I was in the Navy, I was stationed here. These were all things that like I missed when I was 18 years old. Like you can't get that outside of that area.
What is on the garbage plate?
So
Just trash, just like empty
A little
cups.
bit of everything, I guess.
the backstory behind it, it was created by a restaurant called Nick Tahoe's in Rochester, New York. It's I don't know the exact location, but it's near the Rochester Institute of Technology. And it started with late night drunk food. You had a bunch of college kids coming home after a night of drinking, and they just started piling shit on a plate, a bunch of garbage. And so the traditional garbage plate is home fries. You have some mac salad on top of that, macaroni salad. And then
Thank
you
you.
have a burger, just a burger, no bun or anything, and a hot dog, no bun or anything. And then they put on top of that a spicy meat sauce, basically like
like a gravy.
chili without the beans.
Oh.
Let's go with it.
Wow. And is that what's on your guys' dirty plate?
That's on a couple of the variations. Our most popular one is called the Dirty Chick, and that's a variant of these. That one has home fries on the bottom, homemade mac and cheese on top of that, and then 2 chicken tenders tossed in your choice of sauce or rub on top of that.
Wow.
And that was actually featured on our episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Damn,
That's
dude.
so fun. All right, I have to look out for that and send it to my dad. He's like the biggest fan of that show.
Oh yeah, he's probably seen it then.
Yeah.
'Cause,
I'll
yeah,
ask him
probably
about the
has.
garbage plate.
So you guys also are you involved in like the cooking at all?
dirty.
Like the flavors, the sauce, the rubs, or your administration?
Occasionally, but not really.
Okay.
I was the GM of our first 3 locations.
Gotcha.
And it was more of a leap of faith from my best friend. He was more the cooking side. I was more the operations front side of things. And we worked very well together those
sounds
first
like
couple
it.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sort of morphed into what I do now, which is more of our marketing and franchise sales. We sold our first franchise
Wow,
in
congrats, dude.
October of 2019. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
It was wild.
That's
So
huge.
we're churning and burning, man. But the pandemic definitely put a damper on some things for sure.
I bet.
Yeah.
But you survived it. I feel like if you made it this far, you're doing all right. And your buddy, what's his name?
His name is Russ.
So Russ, is he the like brains behind the flavors, the food, the sauce, the rubs? Like, does he make the sauces, or how do you guys get those made?
The majority of them, yeah. I mean, he is. We call him a mad scientist.
Nice.
The things that he comes up with are incredible, and I would be selling him short if I didn't say that was a big part of our success. Is his ability to create things in that kitchen.
Wow. Was he like that growing
Also,
up?
no, like that's the crazy thing about this man is that neither of us really had any restaurant experience before this, like at all. I mean, he cooked at home and stuff. That's about it. But yeah, man, I think when we were teenagers was the bulk of our restaurant industry experience until we started doing this.
Wow.
But it's amazing that just like this craving and hankering for food you couldn't get. You're like, damn it, I'll just do it myself. You know?
Yeah, I
And
feel like
it's
that's how the best.
yeah.
There's a need. You feel the need. It was your need, but
Absolutely.
it was a need.
I respect that
Absolutely.
love of pizza so much. I used to be, well, I don't know exactly your phrase at the beginning of when we came on, but you're like, I'm a wings. It's all about the wings. Or what'd you say? Something, it was so perfect. And like,
Every Friday it was wings and pizza.
we
That's
were
what
like
Wings
that
and
with the
pizza.
pizzas too. And it's
Yeah.
something that like is so great. You get the pizzas ordered to the house. You have your friends over. It's just such a like made it to the weekend moment.
Yeah, we grew up in the
I loved
Chicago
it.
suburbs, so it was pizza.
Pizza heavy too.
Pizza heavy. And wings,
I
but
recall.
like, I guess I never realized that wings are like West New York. I guess it makes sense they're from Buffalo, but like,
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But it's like every food or every region has its own take on. I feel like the chicken wings too. Like it's
I
kind of
agree.
like
Right. I agree.
barbecue. Like it definitely varies and things.
yeah, true.
One of
But
my
the fun-
so I've been a vegetarian for a while, but
Okay.
one of my favorite places in Indianapolis when I was living there, still eating wings, it was called Fat Dan's, and one of my favorite things. It's kind of like a dirty plate, but they would just like serve you on paper sheets on the table. And it was
Okay.
kind of encouraged,
dirty,
like
no
it was
plate.
dirty, very dirty. Just
Dirty
throw
table.
out all the food, and they'd bring everybody's
Absolutely.
food at the same time, pour it on, and it was perfect for like a family meal. You know, everybody picking away at it.
Yeah,
I don't know. They're just certain. I don't know. So up close and personal, and
yeah.
I loved it.
So were you like, were you always sort of a entrepreneurial, on point kind of a guy growing up? Because like we met in college, we went to Full Sail together, and I remember even then, like you were like, I'm selling shirts, you know, like I have a T-shirt, like I have a merch line, I have like, you were like doing shit, you know. Were you always that kind of a kid growing up?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think we all, and the funny thing is that I always relate this to Johnny Cupcakes. If you're familiar with Johnny Cupcakes,
I'm not.
as kids, we would go to like, I don't know if you're familiar with Wegmans. Wegmans is a big grocery chain in Western New York, and
Okay,
they're starting to work their way down this way. We just got our first one in Virginia Beach, but
nice.
we would go to Wegmans and we would buy bulk candy, right? And we would go to school the next day and we would sell this candy, right? We would sell it for, 25 cents a piece, whereas you bought it for 5 cents. I think me and my collective group of friends, we all kind of did that growing up. If I said that I was doing that my entire life, absolutely not. I spent 8 years in the Navy, so I was definitely not doing that.
Right.
And then, Full Sail and all that fun stuff. So
the Navy
but I
came-
think
The Navy was after
Go
Full
ahead.
Sail or before.
the Navy was before Full Sail. Yeah.
Before Full
I was the
Sail.
old guy at Full Sail.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's get into the Navy. So how old were you when you joined the Navy? Let's join the Navy. Let's get into the Navy.
Absolutely. So I went to boot camp 3 days after my 18th birthday.
Wow.
All right. So you were just right there. Did you drop
Yeah,
out or like, did you leave high school or was that like a summer birthday or something?
No, so I was one of the youngest people in my class. My birthday was September, so I was 17 when I graduated. And
It was the following September. Got you.
Yep. So
So you could have ended
joined
up in the grade below, but you were like put in the grade above kind of a thing.
I think the cutoff is like December, because oddly enough, my little sister, who's about a decade behind me, maybe a little bit more, she missed the cutoff by 1 day. So she was
Whoa.
the opposite. She was a year behind or a year ahead, I guess.
She was older than everybody.
she was.
Right. Which, yeah,
so,
what is that a year
yeah.
ahead or a year behind?
It's
But
like,
I think they
not-
say that those kids do better. Like if you're older, if you're an older person in your class, obviously this is in general because you seem like you did pretty good. But like in general, if you're an older kid in the class, like you're a little step ahead in sports and like athletic ability and like just
Makes sense.
you're 9 months or 11 months ahead of some kids. Like they say it makes a difference, you know.
yes, kids
I
grow
think-
so
I
much
think
at
it
that
does.
age.
But it doesn't sound like it held you back. So
Well, I almost failed my senior year, so I don't know.
all right, well, but so joining the Navy, like, was that something you always wanted to do?
No, not at all. I was a punk rock kid in school, man. So like conforming to things was hard for me. But I had a little mishap in high school, as some kids do, and it's such a stupid story. But the pizza place that I talked about earlier, I stole $3 from work, and my boss found out about it. Shout out to Mike. And I got arrested, and that was like the craziest. Like at 16, 17 years old, I let my mom down, I let my grandparents down, and it didn't sit well with me. And we couldn't afford to send me to school. Like my family couldn't afford to send me to college. So it was kind of like shit or get off the pot. Do I stay in this small town, Western New York, that has, a population of, I think it's 9,000 people? Or do I go and do something with my life? And I got rejected from the Air Force. That was the one I wanted to join because of my petty larceny charge. And so the Navy accepted me, and the rest is history.
And you just pocketed $3 like out of the register.
Well, it's so weird, man. Like looking back on it, there was a scheme going on amongst all of the people that worked there. Okay. And it was a delivery scheme where the delivery, let's say somebody called in and ordered a medium pizza or something, or let's say, no, they called in and ordered a large and 24 wings.
Okay.
The delivery driver would come up, and the person who was ringing the food in, let's say it's the manager, right? The manager would, and I hope I'm not giving away any tips to these young kids out there listening. But so the manager would then ring in, let's say, a medium pizza and a 12-piece. That delivery driver would go and collect the money from the guest, the customer. The customer would pay for a large and 24 wings. And then they would bring that money back, and the manager and the delivery driver would split that additional income amongst themselves. So one Sunday night, my manager comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, you want to make a little extra money?" 16-year-old me is like, "Yeah, man, I want to buy some weed." And we did it, and I got $3 out of the deal. And I think it was the following Sunday or something, I went in, I think I went to collect my paycheck, and my boss was like, yeah, I'm not giving you your paycheck, and you're going to get probably arrested. And I was like, sweet.
Wow.
So
it's a little intense to arrest you for that. I would be like, you're fired. And like,
I feel like firing is enough.
Firing is enough. Like, cause that's, to give someone a charge on their like permanent record for like, I don't know. That seems a little.
He was really trying to scare you straight, wasn't he?
He was making a point because it was such a large, like.
Everyone was doing it.
This is no exaggeration. My manager was 17 years old. He was living at home, and this was 1998, right? So he was 17-year-old kid, still in high school, driving a brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. That's how well he was doing with this scheme. You know what I'm saying? So
did he get busted?
He absolutely did.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. He got arrested too.
Yeah.
Was his petty larceny, or did he have higher charges?
I don't know what he got, to be honest, because I cut off all contact with the majority of those people.
Wow.
Once I got arrested.
So it really scared you. You were like, shit, I'm a fuck up. Like, fuck. Like, I got to fix this. I got to no, it was a big turning point for you. Like up until that point where you kind of like fucking around, smoking weed, like, and then this was the moment like, oh shit. Like, did you kind of stop drinking and stop like, I don't know.
I wouldn't say I stopped drinking. I didn't stop smoking, but it was, I was a heavier set kid in high school as well, and it kind of just turned everything around for me because I said, I got to do something with my life. And it's so funny to think that $3 changed my life. And I think about that relatively often. I'm just like, $3.
And like one choice, that's what always haunts me. It's like one decision, one little moment.
Are you glad you got arrested? Are you glad you took the $3? Yeah.
Absolutely. The whole thing was wiped and expunged off my record.
Oh, that's good.
The day that I joined the Navy, like the day that I left for boot camp, it was expunged off my record. So, I got a clean record.
Wow. And so then joining the Navy, like, what's that like? You just get on a plane and go to like wherever the camp is, and they just buzz your head and give you a bunk?
Wake you up early?
Got out of plane and went to Great Lakes, Illinois, right outside of Chicago.
Yeah, I've got a buddy there that trains like the cadets there.
My parents live like 20 minutes from there. So we also had a cousin go through class there and stuff. It was fun.
Nice, yeah.
Okay.
That's real close to where we grew up.
Yeah.
I know the area a little bit, not too much, because we did get a little bit of free time
Nice.
after boot camp, because I was in school there after boot camp. What is that? There's a mall there.
Gurney Mills, are you
like
thinking of? No,
Westfield?
how far?
Gurney Mills.
Gurney
Yes,
Mills.
Gurney Mills. That's the one.
Nice.
That's the one. I think if you go there at any time during any day, you will find some dude walking around in a Navy uniform. It's so funny to me.
Looking for chicks. Do you get chicks when you wear the Navy uniform out?
Not there. Not there.
Not in Gurney Mills.
It's so there's so many. The volume of
You got to get to like the
is
boardwalk,
high.
you know,
Right.
and then
You gotta be more
you're on. It's your
authentic
time.
or more
Get to
exotic.
the boardwalk.
Yeah.
You
So-
have to go somewhere where there is not a Navy base in order for
Right.
that to be a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're in the Navy, like in those first months or whatever, were you like, fuck, what am I doing? Like, this is great. Like, did you regret it? Were you like actually really enjoying it? What was that experience like?
I don't think regret really kicked in until I got my first duty station, which was here in Norfolk, oddly enough. And like boot camp was fine. I actually enjoyed boot camp. It was kind of fun. I got in incredible
Glutton for
shape.
punishment a little bit. No, that is
Maybe.
cool. Maybe.
Maybe no. I mean, I got in really good shape. Prior to that, I lost probably like 30 pounds before even going to boot camp, which
Nice.
was dope.
Kind of training in
and-
preparation for. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom wanted to kill me because I was running stairs in our house for like 5 months,
Wow.
like just up and down our stairs in the house. But yeah, I don't think I had any regrets about it until I got stationed here. I had just started dating this girl who lived back home. And, you know, she was like, at that time, you know, 22 years ago, she was like, that was it. Like, that was my girl. And I was missing her a lot. You know, I was 18 years old. You got those young hormones going. And I think I kind of drove her away in how badly I missed her. I think that was like, it was like a divider in that way.
Like too much desperation almost, or like,
Yeah. Looking back on it now, it's definitely like, I don't understand how somebody would have been able to put up with that from her perspective. And
Right.
so I get it. I understand it.
was this all, what year was this? Pre 9/11?
It was. I was here. I was stationed here in Norfolk when 9/11 happened. I was in boot camp when the USS Cole got bombed.
Wow.
And then I was here in Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. My ship was in dry dock, which is basically they're refurbishing the ship, right? And it's out of water. It's up on these chalks.
Okay.
And you know, they're just doing everything to fix the ship. And I'm sitting there and I'm cleaning our berthing, our living space. And my buddy runs in and he's like, dude, you got to come see this. And I was like, what? And he's like, the fucking Twin Towers just got hit. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah, a plane just flew into the Twin Towers. Like, that's not normal. Like,
Sure.
you don't know how to react. So,
Right.
like,
Is it
yeah,
just the
I
first
ran-
plane at that point?
When he came in, it was the first plane.
Yeah.
And then I ran into, like, as I walked into the room was the televised second plane hitting.
Yeah.
And
Which was such a different feeling. God, the second one.
The second
when
one.
you're just like, oh, then that wasn't an accident at all, you know?
Yeah.
it was wild. And as a 19-year-old, well, no, I was still 18. Was it? No. Yeah, I was still 18. I would have been 19, 2 weeks later. But as an 18-year-old kid and you're serving your country and automatically you're like, well, shit's about to fucking hit the fan. Like, yeah, we're sitting here in a dry dock, but as soon as we come out, we're going to war. Like, that's what's happening. So, yeah, that was just a wild time, man. We got locked down for 5 days. I think it was non-essential personnel or essential personnel only on the ship. So, which meant like if you had to be there, you had to be there. But if you didn't, you got the day off, which was kind of cool for us.
Right.
I got four days off, I think.
Yeah.
Circumstances sucked, but
course.
Looking back on it as an 18-year-old, you were like fucking 4 free days.
Yeah,
Dope.
for sure. Did you ever get sent overseas or anything like that, or like?
Yeah. So after I was here, I made a couple transitions. When I was initially in the Navy, I was an engineer, but more on the air conditioning and refrigeration side of things. And I didn't enjoy that at all. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I put in to be an IT, information technology, all that fun stuff. And I had no background in that. I was just like, I know that they make good money when they get out of the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like a good idea. So I put in for that. I got that. I went back to school in Great Lakes for 4.5 months. And then they sent me over to Italy, which that was incredible. Like I spent 2 years in Italy.
Lucky man.
I think in the 2 years I was there, we spent maybe a total of 3 weeks out at sea. So I was just chilling.
The rest of the time you're like in a hotel, or no, you're staying like on a base. No, yeah, not in a hotel. I'm thinking of it like it's a fucking tour.
I wish it was a hotel.
Yeah.
The first couple of months I was on board the ship, and the whole time I was in Norfolk, I lived on board the ship. So for 2 years of my life, from 18 to 20 roughly, I lived on a ship, which at that age, you know, you want to go out in town and you want to meet girls, and that's not super easy when you live on a ship. Like I can't take anybody back to my ship, right? So when I was in Italy, I was lucky enough to have a couple friends of mine that we all got an apartment together. It was a 5-bedroom flat. I mean, it was me and 3 other dudes, and we just lived it up. And I mean, it was an incredible experience. Those are some of my closest friends now. I mean, we don't talk a whole lot, but like looking back on that time, like that's something special, man.
Yeah.
You shared that time together, and we did a lot of traveling. You know, we went to Paris. We were the first U.S. naval ship to pull into Ireland into Dublin specifically, in 44 years.
Wow.
That was a dope trip. We spent 3 months in Malta. I don't know if you're familiar with Malta.
Is that Spain?
It's like
I guess
it's like a poor man's Ibiza. It's a party island. They filmed Troy there. If you're familiar with the film Troy, they filmed that while we were there, actually, which was kind of dope. So
you can be seen in the back, like drinking a Mai Tai or something.
we're just drinking blue drinks. But yeah, spent some time in Malta.
What are your like naval duties at this point? Like you're in Italy, you got this apartment. Is it like a 9 to 5? Like you wake up, you go somewhere, you're doing IT
for the most
shit,
part,
you know, like
for the most part, unless you're out to sea or you're standing duty, which duty is a 24-hour thing. So like you stay on board the ship for 24 hours. You're standing watches.
Okay.
But unless you're doing that, like it's a 9 to 5. Well, not a 9 to 5. Let's say a 7 to 4, more or less.
Sure.
You know, you go in at 7, you work for a couple hours, you have lunch, and then you're out of there by 4 or 5.
That's when you're living on the boat.
No, that's when you.
That's when you're
are reporting back to the boat.
So when you're living on the boat, and it's like 4 o'clock hits, like it's quitting time, can you just like do whatever you want? Like you can bounce, you can leave the boat, you can go get dinner, you can go get drunk if you want.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, it was dope. I loved my time in Italy.
And where in Italy was the apartment? Sorry, I keep interrupting.
So it was such a small town, like, and it's the most beautiful little town. So you get the best of both worlds. You're literally on the ocean, but there's also mountains like right there.
Incredible.
It's such a beautiful little town. There's a beach right there.
What's the name of it?
So it's a small town called Gaeta, Gaeta. It's an hour north of Naples, but an hour south of Rome. So, I mean, you're in a prime position. Wow. We used to take weekend trips up to Rome, not so much Naples. Naples is what we called the armpit of Italy. No offense to anybody from Naples, but Rome,
but you live in a shithole.
Exactly. But Rome is so dope. I don't know if either of you've been to Rome, but
No,
Rome is
we're going to Europe this summer in August.
Yeah,
Nice.
finally. I'm
Nice.
so excited. I've
Yeah,
never been
Christine's
over
first time.
there. I'm ready.
I've only been one time, like on a family trip a few years ago. So, but my brother lives in Germany right now, so we're going to.
which brother? I met Adam.
Yeah,
Adam,
you knew Adam. Yeah, because
quite a few times.
Yeah. So our younger brother.
Which is I don't know if I've ever told you this or if anybody's ever told you this, but I always thought you were the older brother in that situation.
I would hear that sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on the circle too. I feel like a lot of people who met me first assumed I was older. For a lot of people, I would walk around town and be like, "Oh, there's Adam's brother." I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, then 8 years in the Navy, and then you're like, what? Like, why Full Sail? And what were you there for? You were there for
Well,
music business? That's when you came on, or you were
yeah,
there the whole
so-
time?
I'll circle back because you had asked the question. I don't think I actually answered it.
Oh, okay. I forgot like
you
what
had
we were
asked-
even talking about.
Yeah, you had asked if I had ever gone to like war zone times.
Oh, yeah.
So the Italy part, that was my first 3.5, 4 years. After I left Italy, I got stationed in Tampa, Florida, and that's kind of what led me to Full Sail, but we'll get there. And when I was in Tampa, I was stationed at what's called the Joint Command. It's a joint communications squadron, and we worked with all of the services. So it was Navy, Army, Air Force, Marines, some Coast Guard, but we don't consider them. And it's one of those inside jokes. But while I was there, my first experience there was Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
I was
big
there
one.
2 weeks. I think I was there 2 weeks, and we had to do a convoy to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and New Orleans right after Hurricane Katrina. Dude, driving through some of that, like the decimation of those areas, like we were driving through parts of Mississippi where like seaweed was up on the power lines.
Oh my God.
Like that's wild.
That's crazy.
That's something I've never seen. Like I think at that time in my life, I was 22, 23 years old.
Wow.
And you see this type of devastation, and it kind of grounds you. You're like, wow, this can happen. This is real. And so that was my first experience being in Tampa as part of this command. And then we took a couple trips overseas. I spent a couple months in Qatar, which is a beautiful little country. There's no war going on in Qatar. If anybody tells you there is, they're crazy.
Okay.
Qatar was dope. I loved Qatar. Spent a little time in Bahrain. Bahrain is also a dope little country. And then got sent to Basra, Iraq. Basra, Iraq was I don't know, not ground zero, but like it was a hotbed for sure. It was a British base mostly, and we got sent out there in 2007 when the British troops were actually trying to pull out. They were trying to go back to England, and more power to them. I get it, but with them leaving, we had to provide more manpower there. I was there for a total of 3 months. Boots on the ground, maybe 20 minutes, right? And we're there. We got our rucksacks on. We're getting a spiel from this guy. I don't recall his rate or his rank, but we get off the helicopter. He's going over, what we need to do if we hear the air raid siren. Sure enough, as he's going through this spiel, the air raid siren goes off, and we have to jump in this bunker, and all's clear, nothing happens. We come back out, but they're like, if you hear that, jump under a bed, jump under this, jump under that. Wow. So we spent 3 months there, which this is the thing that sometimes it bothers me that I didn't do more time, because I look at some of the guys that do, a year, 18 months. Like these guys are on the front lines. They're out there. They're guns in hand. I wasn't that guy. I monitored satellite networks, and I made sure, communication systems were up. Like that was what I did. I was in a building the whole time. I didn't do any of that stuff. So like, I applaud those dudes. Like that takes a different type of dedication, and I don't know, man. It's a different type of person
for sure.
Yeah, so much bravery.
So we were there 3 months. In that time, we took 385 mortar and rocket attacks directly at the base. Now, it wasn't like they were 10 feet away from us. Like it was on the base in general, and the base is miles long.
Okay.
But if you do the math on that, that's like 5 to 6 a day. That's 5 to 6 mortar and rockets heading your way. You don't know where they're going.
Wow. And they're just being
every day.
shot by someone with like a bazooka of some sort?
A bazooka on the back of a truck. Like just, you don't know where they're coming from. Wow. I was living at the time, while we were there, we were living in like these, you know what a Connex box is, like the shipping containers that are on the back of trucks and shit. So they convert those into living quarters.
Okay.
And so you're living in those. My air conditioning didn't work probably a month and a half out of the 3 months I was there. Man. I worked night shift, meaning I had to sleep during the day, which wasn't conducive to anything. So I probably slept 2.5 hours a day the entire 3 months I was there. I worked out a lot. I could say that.
Were your nerves completely shot? That sounds so intense.
After the first week and a half, two weeks, that whole jump under a bed when you hear the air siren thing, like that goes out the window. Cause like a bed's not going to save me if I jump under it. Like,
so you're hearing the air raid and you're just like, oh, well, might as well eat
I'm
my
gonna try
oatmeal.
to go back.
Like,
I'm going to try to keep sleeping. That's the best you can do. And, one of the things that I took away from that mentally is that, when you're in those types of situations and you lose that concern for your life, like that's terrifying. Like looking back on it, like, I don't care. Like if it hits me, it hits me,
Yeah.
And that was kind of, pun intended. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, I was like, I don't want to do this shit anymore, man. Like, this is crazy. I'm not about this war. I don't understand why we're here. I know it's about oil. And that's that was what I took away from everything. And so I just didn't want to do it anymore. And that's kind of what led me to Full Sail. Was I'm living here in Tampa. I've always loved music. Music has gotten me through some of the toughest times in my life. We haven't even touched on my childhood, but it was instrumental in my growth as a human being. It got me through a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. So you wanted to do something involving music.
I did. That was the thing. I wanted to be in all actuality, A&R was like what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a part of the process of bringing music to people's ears that changed their lives too.
Yeah. A&R, you know what that is? They they work for a label or something, like they kind of just find like the new up and coming, like secret, like, oh wow, like this band is so great. Like nobody knows about them. I'm going to take them to the label and try and like get something going. Okay. So A&R is like, what does it stand for?
Artist and repertoire.
Artist and repertoire, yeah. But they're the people like scouting. So they're like scouts for the labels.
All right, I like that. That does seem fun.
Cool job.
Like drafting, you're like drafting.
Almost like drafting,
athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a dope job, but there's such a small percentage of getting into it.
Yeah.
And I went to Full Sail for the recording arts program, which I don't know if that's where we met or if it was the business program. I'm not sure.
I think, because Full Sail, you move through the whole program with the same class, unless people like fill out. You definitely, I don't think we were ever in those classes together, but like Bob and Zach were in those classes with me.
They were.
But did Bob and Zach like start with you and then they fell back into mine or something like that?
No. So Zach.
I just feel like Bob
I,
and Zach were my link to you.
They were absolutely.
Yeah.
So I met Zach like the first week at Full Sail. It was in the math class, whatever that generic math class you have to take.
Yeah, with the guy with the octopus on his hand.
A
Yes.
tattoo?
Yeah.
Or just like a pet stuffed animal?
No, it was
What
a
is it?
tattoo of an octopus. This guy was like kind of an asshole. I don't know. I didn't like him.
Fair enough. So I was like, I think I put up like a thing on the message board on like the Full Sail math message board. And I was like, Coheed and Cambria is playing at the House of Blues. Is anybody else going? Because like I didn't fucking know anybody. It's the first week of school. And Zach and I don't know if you knew Ben Feldman. Zach and Ben Feldman both responded and were like, dude, we're going and we're in the same class. Like, let's go.
Wow.
So we went, and I don't think Bob went, but like Bob and Zach were roommates because they grew up together, kind of.
Right.
Right outside of Jersey, Atlantic City area. And yeah, I mean, they lived together for their first year. And then the three of us moved in together for the second year for the entertainment business program.
Right. Which I think is when I met you and when I went into like the business program. But were we in the business program together? I can't remember now. Like, did we have classes together?
I feel like we did, man. I just don't recall
Yeah.
if we did or not.
Those dollars you spent on education really come in.
Yeah, I was playing a lot of
strong.
Snood on my computer in those days.
It's not easy for me to say, but
Well, it was so weird for me because like and I look back on it now and I wasn't that much older than everybody, but I was 26, 27 years old and everybody else was like 18, 19.
That's a big difference. Even though it's just 8 years, like that's a big 8 years.
You've seen some shit. You've eaten a lot of Italian pizza. Like you've been
you've
around.
lived at that point. I'm like, this is my first time like in the world, you know? Like, yeah.
So it was weird for me. Like, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. I really did. And I made some really cool friendships, obviously. And I looked at Bob and Zach, like these are two kids that are, you know, fresh out of Jersey. And I have an opportunity to make an impact on their lives in a way as like a big brother. I felt that way. I don't know if they felt like they were my little brothers, but that was kind of the approach that I took, I think, in a way. Of course, we smoked weed and got drunk together, but I think I bought them a 30 pack like the first week that I met them because I was of age. But
right.
Yeah.
That's scary. You don't want to be that guy, though, that like the guy with the truck that everybody calls when they have to move something. Like, you don't want to be somebody's only connection to beer.
It's true.
There were plenty of those.
Okay,
there were
good.
plenty of those.
Yeah, Full Sail did have a lot of like
they're calling
older,
every minute.
Yeah. It did have a pretty, at least more than most schools, like not everyone starting was like 18, 19. There were a handful of older people. But, or like of age, older, 26, you know, 24, 26,
Absolutely.
whatever. But yeah, it's funny at the time, like the 26-year-old or like our buddy Jules was in class with us. I think he was like maybe 28. And it was like, wow, Jules is like a real adult, full-grown man. What was some of the wisdom you were just bestowing on Bob and Zach?
Man, just life, dude. Like sharing, because to me, one of the things that bothered me the most, and I think it still does to this day, is like having gone through what I went through, but specifically the Iraq shit, right? The complaining about homework and having to go to school and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, bro, you have no idea how bad it could be. Like, let me just tell you that from experience. Like, yes, I volunteered for that shit, but like, understand that there are kids that are your age doing that shit right now. They're getting shot at. They're dying every fucking day. They're getting injured. Like, school is a piece of cake, man. Like, just listen. They give you the answers. Like, they really do. They give you, they hold your hand and walk you through it. Just follow it. It's not hard. And just be a good person, man. It's, I don't know. It's just not hard. And they had obviously really good families, you know, helping them out and everything. I love both of their families. You know, they became kind of like a second family.
It's cool.
virtually because they weren't there, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, every interaction I've had with their families has been awesome.
Yeah, and they were pretty like level-headed dudes to begin with too. Like they're like good dudes, and then you helped them become great dudes.
I fucking hope so.
Yeah, well, it's that like that knowledge you only get from life experience, like realizing like, oh my god, I have it so good. You only get that through time of seeing how much other people have it really hard. Like I feel like appreciating how good my life is something I couldn't have done when I was like 12 because I only knew my own life, and it was like, oh, like I had to clean my room today. Like I didn't want to clean my fucking room, like. So you just
dude.
realize like, and it's a hard lesson to tell someone. You just kind of gotta learn it, It's
Absolutely.
yeah, it's crazy. And so, like, were you close with your family at that time too? And you kind of alluded to your childhood being a little bit wild. I'm curious.
Yeah, man. I mean, not really. I mean, yes and no.
Okay.
My parents got divorced when I was two. And I lived with my mom for the majority of my all of my life for the most part. I was an only child for roughly 10 years. Just with just her. I was an only child with just her for about 10 years. And my mom, she remarried. They had her and her second husband had a lot of issues with drugs. And that's not something that I would wish upon any child to have to go through things like that. We experienced a lot of things, specifically me. I mean, my sisters were all very young. I don't think they recall those times. But they also went through a lot after I left because, when I was 17, 18 years old, I was gone. And, I didn't have to go through that anymore. But they experienced some things. And it's a very complicated story.
Yeah.
But, I love my mom to death. She has made amends with those things. My father has always been a solid dude. We all make our mistakes, and that's fine. But he's always been a good dude. He had two children with his second marriage, who I love both of them to death. I have three sisters from my mom's second marriage. And, I love all of them, equally. They're not my half siblings, those are they're my sisters or my brother. Right. My brother is the oldest other than me, who is this kid. Well, I say kid, but he's 32 now, I think.
But he's 10 years younger than you.
He might be 31. He's within a 10-year difference of me. He's living over in Norway. He's got his doctorate. He's a biology doctor, but more like horticulture, which is completely like out of my realm of knowledge. And I think that's so fucking amazing. I'm so happy for him. And my one little sister, she's a teacher. That's his sister. And then my other sister is going to school for mental health therapist. She's going to be a mental health therapist, which now is a great time to get into that industry for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
I have another sister who she went to school to be a nurse. She's experiencing health problems, but she's going to kick it and she'll get through it. The other one, man, I'll be honest with you. I don't have a lot of contact with that one, and there's reasons behind it, and we won't get into that.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. Was the like, I know the Navy was sparked by this arrest for the $3, and you're like, oh fuck, I let everyone down. But was there some part of you that's like, oh shit, like, because you knew like your mom and her husband had these issues, and was it kind of like you didn't want to end up like them a little bit, and you're like, oh shit, like I'm gonna go so far the other way, like I'm joining the fucking Navy, like you'll be bouncing a quarter off of my bed, like that's how I'm gonna be, because like otherwise I'm sort of afraid of this. Was it kind of like that, or were you not even able to see it that way?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Like,
Yeah.
it scared me, and no offense to anybody that still lives in my hometown, but it scared me to end up living in that town for the rest of my life. It really did. A lot of fond memories in my hometown, really, but to live my entire life there and not have an option and not explore the world, like, um I want to say it was like maybe 3 years into my Navy career. I came home on leave to visit my family, and I remember this like it was yesterday, man. I took my two little sisters, the two oldest ones. I took them to the mall, and we're driving up to the mall, and I'm talking to them, and I mean, dude, they're probably 9 and 11 at this
Mm-hmm.
time. And I said, if there is one thing either of you two do when you grow up, get out of Wayne County. Like, just leave. I don't care where you go, just go somewhere. If it's out of New York, awesome. If it's out of the United States, cool. But just get out of this county, because it's gonna suck you in, and you're gonna become engulfed in it. And it's not to say that you can't be successful there, because there are plenty of successful people that still live there and that thrive there. But I think one of the things that scared me the most is not being able to experience other types of life.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until I did it.
Yeah.
Like, experiencing life in Virginia, one, and then at 19 years old, being shipped off over to Italy and experiencing life in Italy, and like, I'm living in Italy at 19 years old.
Right.
I think it was like 2 weeks in, I'm walking down this one street. I'm talking to this dude that I had just met within the last 2 weeks. And he was probably 18. I'm 19. And I was like, is this fucking crazy to you that we're living in Italy right now? And he was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was that realization that just like, there's so much more to life outside of, Newark, New York, or Marion, New York.
You kind of learn like
You
what it
just
means, even like there's a saxophone player, John Zorn, and he like spent a lot of time in Japan. He was from New York, and I heard a thing of him saying like, I didn't really know what it meant to be from New York until I lived in Japan. Like, what even is New York? Like, you have to go somewhere
Comparatively.
else and then be like, oh, like, okay, cancel out what's everywhere and like what's left. That's what New York is. Or like, he's like, I didn't really understand what it even meant to like speak English until I learned Japanese. And then like,
okay.
you kind of get that like side perspective of your life to really actually see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I think it's funny. I experienced this pretty much my entire naval career, not so much anymore. But when you tell somebody you're from New York, like, it's automatically like, oh, what borough? And it's like,
Right.
You realize there's a fucking state. Like, it's the
Yeah.
third largest state in the country.
Right.
There's a whole state. And so, no, I'm not from any of those boroughs. Like, I'm from a small town. There was a lot of cow manure around and cornfields and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. Like, that's not how I grew up.
It's funny. I picture you talking to the 9-year-old, like, you got to get out. You got to leave this town. And she's just in the back of the car, like, are we still going to see Shrek 3 though? Like, like, can we still get ice cream?
Nah.
Like,
I
you're like,
don't think I was that abrasive. No,
you gotta go. Run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I hope
funny.
that I don't. Well, it's so fun fact. The one, so my oldest little sister, from my mom's second marriage.
Yeah.
Her name is Kaylani. She's the one that's going to school for mental health, to be a mental health therapist. So she stayed in New York. She went to school in Buffalo, after high school, which is a decent move from where we live. Like, that's a 2-hour drive. That's progress to me. And I was super happy for her for that. Once she finished school, her undergrad in Buffalo, she ended up moving to Greenville, South Carolina. And she's currently attending Clemson for this mental health therapy program, which I couldn't have been happier when she was like, I'm moving out of New York.
Yeah,
Like, I was like,
she made
this is incredible. Like, thank you. Just, I don't know if I was a part of that, but if I was, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, and you got your brother in Norway. Like, did most of them kind of get out?
So yeah, I mean, to be honest, yeah. So he went to school, his undergrad, well, no, his undergrad was, he went to Syracuse, which I'm a diehard Syracuse fan. I always have been. So I was super stoked about that. And then he went to grad school and his doctorate school at the University of New Mexico. And then he got this job over in Norway.
What's the mascot there in New Mexico?
The Lobos.
The Lobos.
Los
you.
Lobos.
The Lobos. Yeah.
That's the wolves, right? The wolves. That's
is that what a Lobo is?
I think so.
It's some kind of wolf. Yeah.
Oh, I never knew. There's a band called Los Lobos. I never knew it was about the wolves.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So, and you've been in Norfolk now for how many years?
Well, if you combine the 2 years that I was here for my naval service, I have been here for a total of 12 years of my adult life.
Wow. So, but you've been there 10 this time.
10 consistently in September.
Nice.
So what's that community like? What's Norfolk like?
18-year-old me would have a completely different answer. 18-year-old me hated it here. 39, almost 40-year-old me, I love it here. I really do. I mean, it's not to say that I wouldn't live somewhere else. But Norfolk is cool, man. There's a lot of culture here. I don't know if you're aware, but this is the largest naval base in the world is here in Norfolk.
Yeah, no clue.
And with that brings a lot of different cultures and communities. You have a large Filipino community here. You have a large Hispanic community here, Asian American. So like there's a lot here. There's a lot of different food. I know this is probably a stretch, but having lived in New York City, this is like a mini New York City, but more spread out because of the amount of culture that's here.
Oh, cool.
That's cool. The way I kind of look at it.
It's usually one of like the missing pieces of small town America too.
The like eclectic cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And there's always something going on. Like concerts has always been like my thing. I loved going to concerts. I used to go to concerts by myself all the time. And they get a lot of good shows, a lot of good acts coming through here. And
what's
you played here when you were with Beebs, man?
I was gonna say I've been there. What's the theater?
Well, you played at the Virginia Beach Amphitheater.
Okay.
On Warped Tour. You and I, we hung out. I don't know if you remember this. We hung out. You got me backstage, man. You got me backstage for Saves the Day.
Huh.
I got to stand on stage while Saves the Day was playing, which was fucking dope as shit, and I appreciate you.
You're welcome. I have a very vague memory of that. I crazy. Yeah, Warped Tour was such a whirlwind of like, there's so much moving. It's hard to like grab memories and like keep them. It's like you're on a like fast moving train. But yeah, that's cool. I'm trying to even picture the like venue at Norfolk.
Well, it was Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Technically.
Right. Virginia Beach.
I don't know if you ever played Norfolk, so I would have no idea.
I think I did. Well, I think we did opening for Real Big Fish. Like, what's the big theater in Norfolk?
The Norva.
The Norva. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Did they have had a hot tub backstage?
Yeah.
They had a basketball court.
Whoa, that's fancy.
There's pool tables up in the dressing room. I lost like 3 pool games in a row to Billy Cottage, the trombone player.
Funny what memories stick.
But I kept getting to the end and I would scratch on 8 ball like 3 games in a row. And he was like, bro, like he was so disappointed in me because it was embarrassing. Yeah, that's shame. That's what I remember. I don't remember getting you on stage, having this cool time. I remember losing.
That's cool, man.
Fucking pool.
The shame.
I can imagine, like, dude, I can only imagine what Warped Tour brings. Like having interacted with so many artists in my life, and knowing what that tour, like just being a fucking fan at the day of the Warped Tour, like that is exhausting.
Yeah.
I can imagine like doing that every fucking day. Like that's crazy to me.
It's crazy.
It takes a certain kind of stamina for sure.
It's like boot camp or like being in the military where you just kind of, after that, you're like, wow, like I have it so good. Like I tour now with Steve-O, you know,
Yeah.
and like I get a hotel room sometimes. Like I got a sound checks at like 3. I perform for like 10 minutes, then I can relax. Like it's so, compared to like Warped Tours, like you drove all night, you finally get there, you got to be up at like 9 a.m. because you find out when your set is. You don't even know when you're playing. You might be playing at 9:30, which means you got to get your gear to the stage now. Otherwise, you have like maybe a little less time to get your stuff to the stage, but it's got to be there, prepped, ready for your show, set up the merch booth. Like it's crazy. It's just, and it's that for like 50 days straight. It's in the middle of the summer. It's the fun. It's the most fun, but it's really like such a grueling tour. It makes all other touring like Disneyland. Like it's just a cakewalk.
I'm sure. I remember an interaction that I had with a tour manager. This was in Orlando. God damn, who is the band? So I don't even remember who the band was. Well, the band that he was the tour manager of was this band called Down with Webster. They were apparently really big in Canada. They were like hip hop, rap, rock, pop. I don't know who to compare them with. They had 2 MCs, but they had a full band. They had a guitar player, a drummer, like all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were touring with, it's a band from Buffalo. Pop punk band. Man, I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, we knew the merch guy. We knew the merch guy that was touring with the band. Bob knew the merch guy that was touring with the band from Buffalo. And we went to this show and I got to interact with the tour manager of this band Down with Webster. And I was interacting with the MC, the main MC of the band as well. And I was like, dude, you were pretty fucking filthy. Like, I like what you do. And we shot the shit. We became friends, like exchanged numbers, all that. But anyway, I started talking to the tour manager and his artist was like, yeah, this is Ryan. He wants to become a tour manager. And the guy was like, no, you don't. It was one of the most disheartening interactions I've ever had because I was like, what? And he's like, trust me, you don't want this.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, all right, man. Well, that's kind of fucking shitty.
That's not a sobering moment. I don't know what is.
What about it? Just because it's too like you're underappreciated, overworked, like underpaid.
I would probably, based on his body language, I would probably say overworked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you?
But I did. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, are you back to seeing shows? Have you been to any concerts recently? We dropped a friend off last night to Bikini Kill. I don't think I've seen a live show though yet.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me.
It's been since the pandemic.
I have gone to so many live shows since they've opened up.
Oh, good for you.
You know, for the better part of my adult life, like that was my stress relief. You know, the Navy side of things. And like I said, I used to go to shows all the time by myself, specifically because like the naval community and like the punk rock or I don't know, even if you want to go down the emo road, because there, you know, we all went through that sort of phase. Like we didn't all listen to the same music. Like a lot of the dudes in the Navy listen to bro rock, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't on the same level, and that's okay. So I would just go to shows by myself all the time.
Gotcha.
And so like now, you know, I've found a couple friends of mine that, you know, we're all into similar music, and if we're not, we're just like, yeah, let's go check out this band, like even if we've never heard of them.
Oh, that's cool.
So the last show I went to was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. I went and saw this band Knocked Loose. They're a hardcore band, but I was really there to see this band Movements. They're pretty dope. I would kind of put them in a pop punk category, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Just bought tickets to go see the Wu-Tang and Nas tour.
Wow.
So excited about that. Yeah, man.
That'll be sick. Cool. For some reason, like I started listening to re-listening to Nas's Hip Hop Is Dead album. Like the other day I was like, man,
That's a dope
I
record.
remember when that album came out, it was just so fucking good. It was my like high school driving around smoking weed in a car era of my life. And it was like the soundtrack just meant so much in that time. And that album came out then in like 2007 or whatever. And like, God, it's so fucking good. Like obviously Illmatic, Stillmatic, like what he gets, but that Hip Hop Is Dead album is so good.
Music is so incredible like that too. Like I don't know of anything else that ties you to such a like brings you back to such a specific place and point in time where you can be
Definitely.
like, that's where I was in the car. Like it's so amazing.
That's true.
Like the pathways in your brain that it keeps alive is really remarkable.
Yeah, that's true. Like
I agree.
whenever I would be on vacation in Florida, it would just be Bob Marley like and Jimmy Cliff nonstop. And now whenever I play Bob Marley or Jimmy Cliff, like I feel like I'm on vacation. Like I feel like I just feel that certain like I'm on vacation feeling. Whatever, I don't even know how else to explain it, but just that inner like I'm on vacation. It's kind of it's a powerful like weapon. You can almost like medicinize music by like using it that way, you know?
Yeah.
I can, when I hear like a certain song, I can go back to, I can at least tell you what year or where I was when I started like listening to whatever record that song is on, which is super wild to me. Like as you get older,
Totally.
you know, you start to realize shit like that. And it's crazy to me. Like I can be like, I don't know, let's just say Taking Back Sunday, for instance. Like I first heard Taking Back Sunday when I was in, you know, Great Lakes, and I bought it at the NEX, and I bought the CD at the NEX because I read about it in alternative press, and I bought the CD and I listened to it and I was like, yo, this is pretty fucking dope. I like this. You know, I first heard of My Chemical Romance when they were touring with Taking Back Sunday, and I met the singer Gerard from My Chemical Romance in the bathroom after I just got done taking a piss. And I was like, bro, you guys just played. That was a fucking dope set. They were unheard of at that point. Like they were the opener for Taking Back Sunday at that point. And
It's a great band.
I just like, I look back on these memories and I can recall a specific time and place where I was. And that's kind of that, like what I was alluding to earlier with, you know, why I wanted to be in the music industry. And that took a turn for the worse, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. Here we are. I'm thriving.
You are thriving.
You found yourself in like the restaurant business though, which is also something that like brings people together and brings, I don't know, this sort of like sense of momentum around gathering, which is awesome too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. A good restaurant experience can like really uplift a person. Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just like, yeah, it's such an important thing to get people together and get them connected. And when you're not thinking about how dirty your house is when you have company over, like you're just able to be present at this table with people you love. It's a good thing. My brother-in-law is like a restaurant guy too. He co-owns a restaurant out in Brooklyn actually called Flatbush Counter.
Dope.
And like I don't know, the commitment, the hours, it's such long hours. Like this,
It's a labor of love.
labor of love to be working in a restaurant, but it's a noble cause.
It is, and
gotta eat.
I agree with you with the hours thing, man. The first couple years of doing this were just, good God, man, it was draining. It was so draining. And you know, you do it because there's a goal in mind. Obviously, to me, it was, I wanted to franchise. Like I knew my best friend Russ. I knew he had the drive. I knew he had the work ethic. We were nothing at the time that I joined this. Like we were open 6 months, and I knew this area. I knew what I missed when I was here, like what I didn't have.
Right.
And I was like, dude, we can kill this. I know we can. And you know, it took some time. I think for all intents and purposes, man, like to do what we've done in 10 years is kind of unheard of. You know, we went from quick service after 4.5 years to full service. We opened our first full service restaurant 4.5 years in. We opened up our second one less than a year after that. We did take a little bit of time to open up the third one, but it was just because the timing wasn't there. So we opened up the third one 5 months before the pandemic, which was not great.
Tough time.
But it's still there, like, and it's still thriving. And then the same month,
franchise? Because that was
so the same month, the same month that we opened the third corporate store was the same month. Actually, it was the same week we signed our first franchisee. The problem there was that, he had our franchisee who is a longtime regular of ours, who is also a New Yorker, just not Western New York. He's from Binghamton. But when he signed his agreement, the way franchising works, like you have time frames, right? And he had a couple months to find a space, which he had found a space within that time. But when the pandemic hit, they weren't going to give him a loan for the amount of money that he needed to secure that space. And so it was like, well, now we got to find another space. And so he had, more time. We had to give him more time, which is fair. And then, there's nothing wrong with that. And, he eventually found a spot. It's a nice little spot, and it took him a couple months to put it together. He opened in June of 2021. So he's been open almost a year at this point. He opened during a pandemic still.
Wow.
That's tough. That's super tough. But he's like treading water, or he's starting to, how's that going?
I would say for all intents and purposes, he's doing well. Considering opening during a pandemic, for any new business, regardless of the brand, like, you're going to have growing pains, right?
Oh, yeah. Even without a pandemic, it's hard,
Totally.
Exactly. Unless you're like a Chick-fil-A or something,
right,
which you're just going to hit the ground running. But even with our brand, like, our brand is pretty well known here in this area. Even with our branding, like, it's not going to give him the same sales that the other stores were having. So,
right.
But he's getting there, man. He is, and he wants to do another one already, which is dope. And we'll see what happens.
And is he also in Virginia or in Norfolk? Like, are they all in Norfolk?
No, so we have two in Norfolk, and it's pronounced Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Yeah, trust me, man. It's one of those things. Like, when I moved down here, I was like Norfolk, and everybody's like Norfolk.
Like, you're not from around here, are you? Norfolk.
Yeah, and if you've like grown up here,
a few beers, Norfolk.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you've grown up here, it's like Norfolk. Wow. But it's Norfolk, and so we have two in Norfolk. We have one in Virginia Beach, and we have one in Chesapeake, which is the franchise location.
Gotcha.
And those are all considered part of what's called the 7 cities in this area.
Okay.
Cool.
So there's Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk. Williamsburg is technically considered one of them, Colonial Williamsburg. And then you have Newport News and Hampton.
Is the goal to conquer all 7?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And beyond, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Richmond is about an hour and a half away. We want Richmond. North Carolina is not far from here. We want some North Carolina. And we've had interest from multiple states. I mean, with the franchise system, we were getting inquiries from fucking Minnesota, Ohio, Florida, Texas. But there was one thing that we learned back in 2018. We went to the National Buffalo Wing Festival. The two sauces sitting in front of you are the 2 award winners.
Wow.
We won
guys.
first place awards for those 2.
Wow.
So the National Buffalo Wing Festival is in Buffalo. And that's like, if you're in this business, the wing business, that's like the Olympics, right? You're going to Buffalo for a wing competition.
Right. It's Mecca.
So they do a blind taste test with a bunch of judges, and those two came out in their respective categories as the number one winners.
Wow.
While we were there, we had the opportunity to interact with one of the original founders of Buffalo Wild Wings, which
Sure. That's the big dog on the block.
B-dubs.
it's the big dog on the block. Are they the best? Absolutely not. No. But what we learned from him was that when they started growing, they grew way too fast and they couldn't handle it. And so they started in, I could be completely wrong here, but I'm pretty sure it was Ohio. And when they started expanding, they started opening locations in like Tennessee and Pennsylvania and Iowa. And like, so they opened up a bunch of locations in random ass cities outside of their domain.
Mm-hmm.
And they spread themselves too thin, and ultimately some of those locations failed. We don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to grow here organically as we have for, the last decade, and then start to grow. Like, I don't know well, maybe I shouldn't. I'm not going to name names.
Okay.
But there is a former professional football player from this area. He grew up here. He was a big part of a Seattle Super Bowl championship run.
All right. He's Googleable at this point, I think.
He is Googleable at this point. That's fine. But he had come in and he had expressed interest in opening a couple in Seattle. Wow. And we were like, we're just not there yet, man. Like, that would be just too detrimental, I think, to the brand. And so we kind of, we didn't lose contact by any means. We'll keep in contact when that time comes. I think we can reach out to him and see if he's still interested.
Sure. But the goal is like sort of stay geographically kind of close, like never like get a branch like too far out. Like it should always be, 50 miles away from the other one, sort of like grow.
At least until we're able to cover that type of ground. Like, our team needs to grow. Cause right now it's me. Our corporate team consists of me, Russ, his wife, Steph, who is our financial officer. And then we have a director of training, and we have an executive chef slash supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 5-person team. That's not enough to do multiple cities.
Yeah, quality control in every city and all that.
I see. Yeah, because
as coming out of a pandemic, like we're still trying to get our stores back to normal. We don't need that additional wrench of bringing on a new franchise right now.
Makes sense. Well, sweet, dude. Congratulations on all of that.
That's huge.
Yeah, super huge. And selling the franchise, I'm excited for you. That's the beginning of
dude.
You're headed towards a nice retirement. I feel like some passive income when you're sitting on a
Fingers
beach.
Crossed. Fingers crossed, man.
And Galleta.
Yeah, I dude, I would love it. I would love it.
Okay, one thing I want to know: how does the Italian pizza stack up to the New York pizza? You've
the
seen
pizza
it
you
all.
had,
I'm curious about the za.
2 different worlds, man. So I love my New York pizza. There's no beating that. But, and no offense, because you guys are from Chicago. I know.
I love deep dish, but God, do I love a New York thin slice of pizza. I just love it. It's so portable. It's so perfect.
I would say when you're talking about the Italian way of doing it, it's a different world, man. We used to go to this little shop that was, a couple blocks from our apartment, and, it's the same. It's family owned. It's these 3 dudes. It's a father and his 2 sons, and they're tossing the pizza, and it's the thin crust, and they're doing the fresh mozz. It's not the shredded mozz.
Oh, fuck no, it's not.
And they're doing the wood fired grill with the cement block, and they're popping it in there, and it comes out, and like I think the most amazing thing about that is that you can eat a whole large pizza to yourself and not feel gluttonous about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you eat a whole large American pizza to yourself, like you're
You're gonna
feeling
hate
a
You're
little,
gonna
yourself.
hate yourself
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, you're feeling a little awkward.
Yeah.
But like,
Shame.
yeah, but with an Italian pizza, man, it's so thin. Like the crust is so thin, and it's nice and crunchy, and
It's like a flatbread.
it's soft where it needs to be.
Mm.
You know, it does flop. Like you can't do the
Can't fold it. Yeah.
you can fold it, but like the end is gonna fall. Like
I
there's no
see.
ifs, ands, or
droopy.
buts.
Oh.
So there's something about that. I love that food, and
If you ever,
I think I gained like 20 pounds while I was over there.
Oh,
I
in
absolutely
Italy.
did.
I mean,
Yeah.
that feels like
believe
a
it.
rite of passage you don't want to miss.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say if you
And-
ever miss it, you should watch. Stanley Tucci has a special on HBO. I think it's called Discovering Italy, and he goes to different regions of Italy and kind of like deep dives into their cuisine there. And it was really well made. It's post pandemic, so it was really interesting in terms of like his social commentary and things. And I can't recommend it enough. It's got me like dreaming of Italian food like I never knew I could. Like I want it all.
Yeah.
Where are you guys going when you go over to Europe? Where are you going?
We're starting in Germany. We're doing a little Munich, a little bit in the Alps, then
Maybe
getting
Amsterdam.
maybe Amsterdam, then getting on a plane to Portugal, and then doing like Portugal down south, a little bit of southern Spain, and then we're going to end in Madrid and fly out of Madrid.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Looking
gonna be
forward
wild.
to it.
It'll be cool.
Yeah. It's going to be super
Enjoy
cool.
that.
Thank you.
That's rad. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a few questions, man.
Hit me.
All right.
I love that.
So, you know, you and I haven't really talked a whole lot in
No.
the last 12 years or so.
Not pretty much not at all.
So you don't recall seeing me here when you were here, but do you recall when we met in New York City?
Oh,
Shit. I don't know, dude.
now.
So you were touring, you were with JC
Okay.
and that guy that owned the big house in Orlando,
Reed,
or he
yeah.
at least rented it. Yeah.
And not them.
you guys-
And Nelson. Like JC's
I
group.
think it was not them.
Yeah.
You guys played a show in New York. I couldn't go to the show, but I met up with you guys after. And I think I met up with you at like some random ass pool hall. You guys were crashing at somebody's apartment. I don't know
Yeah.
whose.
Were we playing ping pong? Where we met up?
Yes, it was ping pong. It wasn't
Yeah.
pool. It was
Yeah. The
pong.
ping pong spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I met up with you guys there. I think I was not in the best of spirits. I think I had worked like 14 hours that day. But I ended up meeting up with you guys while you were there, and I just didn't know if you remembered that. But
Dude, my memory is so bad. Like, yeah.
that's cool, man. I
like,
get it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't exactly remember it, but I do like. There's moments of it I can picture, and like, I know that I know you better than just Full Sail. You know, like I know I've seen
Yeah,
you, but
dude.
I can't put my finger on these moments, and now I feel bad.
That's cool. It's all good, brother. So the one question I had, because I don't know what you did after you left Full Sail. I know that you were with Beebs. I know that you were doing, the drumming and all that fun stuff. And then you had the stuff with Not Them, or you were working with JC on other things. How did you get involved with the Dudesons? Because I think that's when you kind of popped back up on my radar when it was like on Facebook and whatnot.
Yeah, so for all of the Moneymakers stuff, I lived in Florida. And then when I left that band, when I left Beebs Under Moneymakers, I moved back to LA. And like I had lived here like in 2012. Okay, wait, let me take a step back. I graduated Full Sail,
Sure.
went home working at a restaurant. Then JC and everyone hits me up. They're like, we all moved to LA. There's a house here. Like rent is cheap. So I'm like, fuck yeah. So I moved there. So all of 2012, I was in LA living with JC, making like some music and like some sketch videos and shit. Anyway, then at the end of that year, I got invited to join the band. So, and like go on Warped Tour and shit. So I was like, oh, fuck. Like, yeah. So then I moved back to Florida for like 2.5 years, quit the band, and just immediately moved back to LA. Like the whole time I was in the band, I missed LA so much. I felt like I still lived in LA. I was just never home. Like,
Sure.
And so as soon as I like cut that cord in Florida, it's just like a vacuum, like I was back here. And then I moved in with JC, and he had a job at a furniture store up the road, and I was working at the furniture store with him. And a friend of ours, you know, because they had all stayed in LA all those years, so like they had progressed a little bit and like knew some people or whatever. So one of our friends, Joey, who was at the Dudesons as well, he was helping the Dudesons set up their office. They needed an editor, so they called JC. So like I'm literally like holding a couch with JC at this furniture store, and he's like, "Hold on, I'm getting a phone call." We put the couch down. He gets invited to edit for the Dudesons, and he said yes, but he was about to go on tour with our friend Cap Callis, who's also an Orlando guy. I don't know if you ever came across him, but they were going to do a Canadian tour. So JC's like, "So I can do it, but in a month I'm going on tour, but don't worry, my buddy Paul will sub for me in that time." So JC gets the job at the Dudesons. I'm still at the furniture store. Then JC's about to go on tour, so I'm getting brought in as a sub for like 2 weeks. But like I knew I wanted to make the most of those 2 weeks, so I quit the furniture store and like just like went so all in on that 2 weeks that when JC came back, like they had kind of ramped up things by that point. Like they still kind of needed me, so I just kept. They never even officially hired me. I like George Costanza'd my way into it. And then, then it just kind of stuck.
Just showed up.
For a couple years there. And then we slowly started like, at first we were just editors. And then we ended up like in the videos and like that kind of, the whole position there like grew over time. But yeah.
Which is a natural progression because you two are like, I mean, born entertainers.
Yeah, me, JC, and Joey. Yeah, once they figured out what they had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it started because HP and Yarpy, I don't know how like familiar you are with the Dudesons, but HP and Yarpy.
I mean, I've seen the show. Yeah.
Yarpy's the guy without a thumb. HP's the hot one with all the tattoos. They came to visit, and when they left, we like made a video like making fun of the Dudesons, like, "Oh, yeah, today we're going to drink beers at work," like whatever, like a fake vlog. And then we sent it to them, and all the Dudesons loved it. They were like, "This is great. Like, let's put this on the channel. It'll be like an editor's vlog." So we put that out, and then like that was kind of like the little spark that led to just us being in videos more and more. And then through that, I met Steve-O, and then kind of here I am.
Yeah. I mean, so like when I was in Italy, one of the big things that like obviously Jackass was kind of a big thing during that time frame, and I got really like, I think I bought Haggard. Have you ever? I've seen Haggard.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a movie Bam Margera made, but it's like a scripted movie.
Okay. No, I didn't see that.
And it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. We watched that movie tripping on mushrooms once, and keep in mind I was in the Navy at the time. And it was one of the greatest things. And that sort of like following those people sort of led into the Dudesons type thing. Mm-hmm. And then, because Bam always talked about the Dudesons and everything. And it just piqued your interest. So, I wanted to know, because like, that's dope, dude. Like, that's super cool. And when I found out you were working with those people, like it brought back like memories of my time in Italy, like via transfer somehow, some way. I was like, a friend of mine is working with the dudes. That's dope.
Nice.
And now, fast forward, you're working with Steve-O, and that's like, I know I wasn't a big brother type thing to you, but as a friend, like I'm super proud of you, dude. I think that's so dope. And listening to the podcast and everything, like you can tell it's like a genuine thing between you guys. So that's super dope to hear.
Super duper dope.
Super duper dope, man. And then the other question I had, Matt, was, you're getting into stand up, and you're in it. I'm not even going to say you're getting into it. You're in it.
Yeah.
I started taking a class about a year and a half ago. It's a veterans class. It's a free class, and they teach you how to do those things. And unfortunately, I had to stop doing it because of work responsibilities. But it's still one of those things that like I think about. Like I don't know. I feel like everybody thinks they're a funny person, but I genuinely believe I'm an actual funny person. And I have a lot of wild ass things to talk about. How do you sort of develop your sets? Like, how do you come about those things? Do you sit down and traditionally like write sets? Is like, what do you do? What's that process?
Well, I don't think it's fair yet to officially call me a stand-up comedian, even though I am sort of a touring stand-up comic of some sort. I've really only opened for Steve, like on his tour.
Hey, man.
I mean, I've done
better than a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it's a very lucky position to be in. Like I said,
Yeah, man.
I'm like a touring stand-up comic who's technically not really a comic. Like, so I had done a couple of open mics, but then just on tour, like Steve brought me on tour to be able to film and edit on the road. And then he was like, man, the show's a little too short. Like, you want to do like 5 minutes at the beginning? And I was like, fuck yeah. And then I just tell like the story of how I met Steve, because it's like, I'm at his show, it's his fans. Like, let's just kind of keep it about him, like make it feel like one full show. But the way I met Steve, like, I met him when I was in Peru working on a show that the Dudesons produced called Ultimate Expedition. And on this trip, like, I fell off a roof and like almost died. It was like it was a big fucking thing. So I just tell that story. Yeah. Perhaps you recall. So, I just tell the fucking story. And like, I had told it already to like friends, or like I had told it a lot, that it was like a little bit honed. So that first time, like, didn't go that bad. And then I just would tweak it. I would record it and just kind of tweak it and be like, oh, that's not getting a laugh. Steve would give me a lot of like, he's like, cut that part out. Like, you kind of go on this, like, nobody even needs to know that, like, it's too much information, like, or whatever. And I don't know. It just sort of, I never wrote it down. Well, I would like write out a little bit just to kind of look at it, but it just kind of like each show would just get a little bit better and a little more honed. And like, really the goal was just being more and more comfortable standing on the stage, like just getting to the moment which I know just means doing it a lot, but it was like, now I'm at the point, I'm not really nervous to do it. Like, I've, even if people yell shit out, like, or just getting the confidence to be like, shut the fuck up, like, to someone, like, that took a while, but like,
I've never in my life told somebody to shut the fuck up, and the ease he does it, and in
it
a
rolls
room
off
full
my
of
tongue
people,
now,
it's so smooth. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'm like, shut this fucking, whatever. Yeah, like, but I don't know. So that's kind of how my material came about. But
and you consume a ton of it. You watch a lot of stand-up comedy.
That's true. Yeah. I'm a sort of a connoisseur of stand-up.
And you always did that.
Yes. Yeah. I've loved stand-up my whole life. So it's kind of like, and
Absolutely.
like listening to certain podcasts of comedians talking, like I sort of have a grasp of like the craft, I guess. But I haven't done like a show to a paying audience that's not a Steve-O show.
Not
ever.
yet.
Not yet. I will be doing it soon. And that's when I think it'll be more, I don't know, that's going to be scarier. Like it's not like a theater of 1,000 people. It's like a small, it'll be like a small little comedy club in LA, but I don't get to say like, y'all excited for Steve-O, and like at the end, they're going to be like, yeah, like no matter how bad my set was, like I'm going to have that at the end. So not having that, not having any context of who I am or, will be like a little more difficult. And I don't know. For that, I'm just going to kind of, telling stories is the easiest way to come up with material, I've learned. Because like going out there be like, you ever think like cereal's weird? Like cereal's kind of weird, like, I don't, like, that's harder than just being like, like, dude, the craziest thing happened to me. And maybe like, I'll be able to fit in like, by the way, cereal's weird. Like, but anyway, like, but do it within a story. That's kind of at least how I'm looking at it now. Like, tell a crazy story. And like, if I tell you a story, I'm going to try and make it funny no matter what, like naturally. If I'm telling someone a story,
sure,
I'm really just kind of trying to get a laugh, so I don't know. My approach is going to be like, think of some funny stories and tell them. And hopefully it goes okay,
That's dope, dude. I dig it.
Yeah, I think you should get back into it. Like, even if you do it 1 week a month or 1 day a week or 1 day a month, like, it might scratch the itch,
I consistently like keep a little note thing in my iPhone. Like, I'll be sitting on my couch just watching something or whatever, and I'm smoking a little bit, and I'll be like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, maybe I should write that down.
Yeah.
but for sure, man, I like, that's one of those things like growing up, high school era, like I did, and I think a lot of people would find this surprising, at least people that know me that don't know this about me. I did plays in high school, and I was like the comic relief in all of those plays. Um, and I loved it, dude. Like that like feeling that you get from an entire crowd laughing at something you said, I'm sure you understand. It's another level. Like there's just something about that. It's different. And you thrive off of it, and you get this energy off of it that's just, it's otherworldly.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, I do need to get more into it, and I'm hoping that within the next, year or two, I think a lot of my struggle has been pulling myself away from operations within the restaurant. And I'm hoping that I can get a little bit further away from that.
Definitely. And don't, I, as somebody who's experienced a lot of burnout in my professional working world over the years, like it can feel selfish to like take that time, and almost impossible, but really you're just doing everybody a solid by adding in those things that take care of you. Those little moments where you can get them is so important, even though they are like the first thing we cut out are those little extra tidbits of joy.
Right. But at that point it's productive because it's going to make your work better.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have time to go see a show, you got time to go do stand up one night, go to an open mic and maybe get your name pulled. I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's doable.
I agree.
But yeah, and thanks. I'm proud of you too. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's really cool to see, like,
absolutely, dude.
Because we all knew each other when we just weren't shit, didn't have shit. Like we were little seeds, like, at school, like at college, where you go to like sort of grow and learn and become something. So seeing anybody from that become something and like standing on their own 2 feet, it's good to see, man. It's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fucking and thanks for doing the show, dude. And thank you for the sauce. Let's promote it. The Dirty Buffalo. If you're in Virginia,
yeah, dude.
Any of the 7 cities.
Here we go.
Any of the 7 cities.
Any of the 7 cities. It's either there or it'll be there soon. If it's not there, complain to your mayor. Yeah, start a petition. But and yeah, dude, thanks so much for being on the show and taking time to talk to us.
No, thank you guys. This has been dope. I got plenty more stories if you guys ever need anything else, man.
Hey,
yeah, we'll have you back.
Good.
I was catfished for 7 years. We'll leave that at that.
Oh man. Okay.
Shit.
That's a whole story. That's a whole story.
Part 2 coming next
Part 2.
time.
Stay tuned. Holy shit.
And I did reach out to the catfish guys, and when they came back to me, I was like, I don't know if I want to be on national TV with this.
The show Catfish. So yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I was out. I spoke with Neve while I was driving in my car, and he was like, yeah, man, we like your story and we want to bring you on. And I was like, let me think about it.
You know what? I think I'm going to actually save that one for the Elk Lodge.
Save it for the Elk Lodge.
Hey, you got the exclusive, man. You got the exclusive.
Go.
Holy fuck. Well,
not a lot of people know that. I think a lot of people that if I share this with any of my friends, which I will, a lot of them are going to be like, you were fucking catfish for 7 years?
Yeah,
there
that is
will
hard to
be follow-up questions.
It's hard to picture you falling for it, something.
You don't want to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh.
I got stories. She's still out there too. I know where she is.
Damn. People are weird. People are so weird.
Now I feel like we're leaving people on the craziest cliffhanger of all time.
There it is.
There it is, folks.
Just gonna have him back.
We're gonna start a petition. Tell your mayor that you want Ryan Lynn podcast 2 on the Elk Lodge.
We need the part B.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, fuck yeah, dude. I'm excited to hear that. We'll definitely have you back sometime, and we'll get the update on the sauce and we'll get the dirt.
Yeah, dude. Did you guys try the rub? Did you try the dry rub?
No, we didn't try the rub yet.
Oh, I didn't even
forgot about the rub.
I didn't realize there was a rub.
I got to check the rub. Yeah,
dude, it's so good.
What should I put it on?
So that's oh man, you can put it on anything, dude. French fries, fucking tater tots. You can mix it in with some mac and cheese. I know you said you're vegetarian. Pop that bad boy on either some Brussels sprouts, like season some Brussels sprouts, kale. I mean, one of my
put it with like
ex-girlfriends
a yogurt and get my like ranch on, kind of like a flavored ranch.
You could do that. Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
a ranch buffalo. So
We do a lot of
Alright.
potato, like breakfast potatoes. I feel like it'd be good on that.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would kill it.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh shit,
So good.
dude. Yeah, thanks for sending all this stuff, man. It's good.
Absolutely, man. Let me know if you want some more.
I'm so
Will
ready
do.
for dinner. I'm like, I've been thinking of all
Yeah.
the food for a long time. Now my mind's gonna associate you with some good food all the time.
Yeah,
That's
there
great.
you go. It's like Take It Back Sunday and buffalo sauce. It's like-
Absolutely, man.
well, all right, brother. Great to see you, man. Glad you're doing well.
Absolutely. Same to
And
you.
let's talk soon.
Yeah, definitely. Pleasure to meet you,
Yeah,
Christine.
good to meet you and take care. Keep cooking
love-
up good stuff.
I love the tandem. You guys kill it.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks, man. This has been another thing where it's just over time, you just kind of get better at it, you know?
It's been fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, love you, bro. Take it easy, man. Good to see you.
Love you too, man.
Take
Take
it
care of
easy.
Take
yourself.
care, Ryan. Bye bye.
Peace, Ryan.
All right, guys. Bye.
Later, dog.